Single dad veteran gave up first class. Seat for burned woman. Next day, Marine One landed at his cabin. The frost clung to everything that December morning as Jack Morrison loaded the last of his daughter's suitcases into his beat-up Ford truck. Emma, his 7-year-old, was already buckled in, her small hands clutching a worn stuffed elephant named Mr. Trunks. "Dad, will Mom be at the airport?" Emma asked, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. Jack's jaw tightened. "Your mom will be there, sweetheart," she promised. The drive to Denver International Airport took 3 hours from their remote cabin in the Colorado Rockies. Jack had been living there for 2 years now, ever since his discharge from the Marines. The isolation suited him. Fewer people meant fewer questions about the scars on his soul that didn't show. At the airport, Emma's excitement was palpable. She was flying alone to California to spend Christmas with her mother, Jack's ex-wife Sarah. The divorce had been bitter, but Jack would never let his daughter see that pain. Flight 447 to Los Angeles is now boarding all passengers. The announcement crackled overhead. Jack walked Emma to the gate, showed her boarding pass, and hugged her tight. "Be good for Mom, okay? I'll see you in 2 weeks." "I love you, Daddy," Emma whispered into his neck. "Love you more, Princess." As Emma disappeared down the jetway with the flight attendant, Jack felt the familiar hollow ache. He turned to leave when he heard a commotion at the gate desk. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but your seat has been double booked," the gate agent was saying to a woman whose face was partially obscured by a scarf and sunglasses despite being indoors. "I need to get to Los Angeles," the woman said, her voice strained. "I have a surgery scheduled tomorrow morning." It's important." Jack noticed the edge of scarring visible above her scarf, the way she held her left arm stiffly. He recognized trauma when he saw it. The gate agent shook her head. "The only available seat is in coach, but it's a middle seat in the very back. Or you can take the next flight tomorrow morning." "Tomorrow won't work," the woman said, and Jack heard the desperation creeping in. He looked down at his boarding pass. First-class seat 2A. He'd used his military discount and saved for months to surprise Emma with an upgrade so they could fly together. But Sarah had insisted Emma come alone. "Excuse me," Jack said, approaching the desk. "I'm in first class. I'd like to give my seat to this lady." The woman turned to him, and even through the sunglasses, he could see the surprise in her posture. "You don't have to do that." "I know," Jack said simply, "but I want to. Take the seat." The gate agent looked between them, then started typing. "Sir, that's very generous, but—" "Just do it," Jack said, sliding his boarding pass across the counter. "Give her 2A. I'll take whatever's available." 10 minutes later, Jack was wedged into seat 38B between a snoring businessman and a teenager with headphones turned up too loud. He smiled to himself. Emma's flight would be comfortable, and that woman would get to her surgery. That's what mattered. The flight was uneventful. Jack dozed, thought about Emma, and tried not to think about the empty cabin waiting for him. When they landed, he collected his bag and headed home, the interaction already fading into memory. The next morning, Jack was splitting wood behind his cabin. When he heard it, the unmistakable thwip 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 of helicopter rotors, he looked up, expecting to see a news or Forest Service chopper. Instead, his blood ran cold. Marine One, the presidential helicopter, was descending onto the clearing beside his property. Jack dropped the axe. His mind raced through possibilities. Had he done something wrong? Was Emma okay? His heart hammered as the massive helicopter touched down, snow swirling in its downdraft. The door opened and a Marine in dress uniform stepped out, followed by Secret Service agents in dark suits and sunglasses. Then impossibly, the President of the United States emerged, followed by the woman from the airport. Without her scarf and sunglasses, Jack could see the extensive burn scarring that covered the left side of her face and neck. She wore a military dress uniform, with the rank of lieutenant colonel, and a chest full of medals. Jack stood frozen as the group approached. The president extended his hand. Mr. Morrison? Jack Morrison? Mr. President, Jack managed, shaking his hand automatically. What's going on? The woman stepped forward. Mr. Morrison, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Whitfield. Yesterday you gave me your first-class seat. You didn't have to come all the way out here for that, Jack said, bewildered. Actually, I did, she said, her eyes glistening. You see, I'm the president's military aide. I was returning from a classified assignment in Colorado Springs. That surgery I mentioned? It's my 14th reconstructive surgery following an IED attack in Afghanistan 3 years ago. Jack's throat tightened. He knew that pain, that journey. I was in a very dark place yesterday, Colonel Whitfield continued. The flight was already stressful because of my anxiety about the surgery. When they told me my seat was gone, I nearly broke down. Then you appeared. A complete stranger who gave up his comfort for mine, who didn't stare at my scars, who treated me with simple human dignity. The president spoke. When Colonel Whitfield told me what happened, I asked her who you were. She didn't know. So we had the airline pull the flight manifest and cross-reference the seat exchange. When we ran your name, we discovered you're a Marine Corps veteran who served 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts, and an honorable discharge. Jack shifted uncomfortably. I just did what anyone would do. But that's exactly it, the president said. Most people wouldn't. In your service file, there's a pattern. You carried a wounded comrade 3 miles under fire. You gave your rations to local children. You volunteered for the most dangerous assignments so younger Marines wouldn't have to take them. You've spent your entire life putting others first. Sir, I don't understand why you're here, Jack said. Colonel Whitfield pulled an envelope from her jacket. After my attack, I spent 2 years in hospitals. I was angry, depressed, suicidal at times. The physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional devastation. People would stare or worse, look away quickly. I felt invisible, broken. She paused, composing herself. Yesterday, when you offered your seat, you looked at me, really looked at me, and you saw a person who needed help. Not my scars, not my rank, just another human being. That simple act of kindness reminded me why I served, why I survived. You gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time, hope. Jack felt his eyes burning. I'm glad I could help. There's more, the president said. We've done some research on your situation. You're living alone in this cabin, doing odd jobs to make ends meet, sending most of your money to support your daughter. You're dealing with your own trauma, your own struggles, but you still found it in yourself to help a stranger. Lots of veterans are struggling, Jack said quietly. Which is exactly why I'm here, the president said. Colonel Whitfield made a request and I agreed. We'd like to offer you a position as the new director of the Veterans Transition Support Program. It's a federal initiative to help veterans adjust to civilian life, provide mental health resources, job training, and community support. You'd be based in Washington, D.C., with a full salary, benefits, and housing assistance. Jack's mind reeled. I'm not qualified for that. I'm just You're exactly what we need, Colonel Whitfield interrupted. Someone who understands what it's like to struggle after service. Someone with genuine compassion. Someone who acts instead of just talking. Your military record shows leadership ability. Your personal situation demonstrates resilience. And yesterday you proved you still have the heart of a Marine. I have Emma to think about, Jack said. The president smiled. Your daughter would be set up in an excellent school in D.C. The position comes with family, relocation assistance. And frankly, Mr. Morrison, from what we've learned, this job would put you in a much better position to fight for joint custody. Stable job, good income, excellent housing. Jack looked at the faces surrounding him. The president, the colonel, the Marine standing at attention by the helicopter. 24 hours ago, he'd been a forgotten veteran splitting wood in the wilderness. Now he was being offered a chance to rebuild his life and help others do the same. Why me? He whispered. Really? Colonel Whitfield stepped closer. Because yesterday when you didn't have to, when no one was watching, when there was nothing in it for you, you chose kindness. That's who we need leading this program. Not a politician or a bureaucrat, but someone who actually cares. Jack thought of Emma, of giving her a real home instead of an isolated cabin. He thought of all the veterans he'd known who'd struggled, who'd been lost to suicide, addiction, homelessness. He thought of himself alone in the woods, hiding from the world. When would I start? He asked. The president grinned. How does January 2nd sound? Plenty of time to spend Christmas with your daughter. I'll need to think about it, Jack said, but he was already nodding. Of course, Colonel Whitfield said. She handed him the envelope. Everything you need to know is in here. Contact information, job details, the offer letter. Take your time. But Jack, thank you. For yesterday, and for everything you've done. As Marine One lifted off, snow swirling around his cabin, Jack opened the envelope. Inside was a formal job offer, details about the program, and a handwritten note from Colonel Whitfield. You saved my life yesterday without knowing it. You reminded me that kindness still exists, that I'm still worth seeing. Whatever you decide about the job, please know, you made a difference. You always have. Don't hide that light in the wilderness. The world needs it. R.W. Jack looked up at the sky where the helicopter was now just a distant speck. For the first time in years, he felt something stirring in his chest, not just hope for himself, but purpose. He pulled out his phone and called Emma. When she answered, her voice was bright with excitement about California. Hey, Princess, he said, his voice thick with emotion. How would you feel about living in Washington, D.C.? Like the real Washington? With the monuments and everything? Yeah, baby. The real Washington. With your dad, if you want to. Emma's squeal of delight echoed through the phone, and Jack Morrison laughed. Really laughed for the first time in years. Sometimes, he thought, the smallest acts of kindness can change everything. You just have to be brave enough to be kind, even when the world feels cold. Especially then.